Hi, I'm Harry Moores and I'm a portrait artist from New Plymouth. In my early career as an artist, I studied a lot of the Renaissance painters, namely Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Botticelli. Obviously, as an artist, I studied a lot of art history, and as I refined my drawing technique, I explored the modernist artists, Mondrian, Cezanne, Pablo Picasso. I mean, after a while I kind of discovered how they look at the picture quite two-dimensionally, as all artwork is. So I want to explore that relationship between the two-dimensional picture painting in my work and the three-dimensional illusion that every mark on a 2D surface creates. So like every artwork that creates an illusion of some sort if there's a mark on the canvas. So basically I started exploring some modernist techniques, abstract expressionism and some surrealism techniques. So with surrealism I looked into automatic writing and automatic drawing, which are two techniques that start to unearth some sort of unconscious things within the human psyche. So with automatic drawing, you kind of draw unconsciously and just see what marks that come out, what images you create without any conscious effort, a bit like talking on the phone. You might scribble down at the same time without any kind of awareness, and you sometimes create some kind of unusual marks and and imagery. So I started to combine that or find portraits within those mark makings, and that was the first series I did. This current series I'm working on is it actually evolved from a lot of automatic writing, which is a similar process, similar to a musician or something. You might just write down lyrics or music or words or poetry without any conscious effort. So you have a blank mind when you start, a bit like a meditation session, and you just write whatever comes to mind. I started doing that on paintings, and I actually really liked the effect of white on black and the marks that kind of the pattern marks that they'd produce from a distance. So originally when I started this series it was mainly about the words, and the image was very abstract, it was barely recognisable. As I progressed this style, I really enjoyed how the pattern surface really created a dynamic three-dimensional look to the paintings. That I found it quite an interesting technique. So these days I focus a little bit less on the actual story behind the automatic writing. I really actually like the curved marks that this kind of mark making in a text type form creates. And yeah, what I'm really trying to express is kind of like that modernist transition between realism and abstraction. And I think a lot of the public doesn't really know abstract artwork, and it's not until you look through maybe the eyes of an artist that you realise that what an artist sees is often something quite abstract, especially if they're a realistic painter. For example, when I'm painting an eye or a nose or a mouth, there's no particular mark that I make that expresses one of those forms. As you develop with a modernist aesthetic or modernist perspective on the world, the eye or the mouth or the nose is nothing more than an arrangement of two-dimensional marks on a flat surface. So when I'm painting an eye, I'm actually aware of the artificiality of an eye. It's not an eye I'm painting black and white marks that are arranged in a certain way that express an eye once there's other marks being put in place. So yeah, to express that to the public without kind of them getting lost in your words, I think doing abstract works that are realistic from a distance kind of tests their perception of what a painting might be. And I think there's an interesting dynamic, a liminal space between sort of that realism that the mind produces from a distance with the artificiality of what appears to be text or abstract marks up close. So that's the dynamic I'm currently exploring in my artwork. So it's a mixture of realism and abstract expressionism, I'd call it. Yeah, and I think the aesthetic quality of the final result is quite striking at the moment, so I'm quite pleased with the result.